Hey everybody, it's John. Today's active self-protection extra lesson. I'm here with Mike Seeklander, and if you've been in the industry at all, you know Mike is a national champion shooter and one of the founders of the Federal Air Marshal training program.
Yeah, founders after 9/11, so certainly a plank owner after 9/11.
Not the old school program,
right,
but you know the new one after 9/11. Yep. Incredibly accomplished shooter, and I'm here this week at your Firearms Instructor Development course.
That's correct, yeah.
And I'm super excited to be here. It's Thursday. You see my hair's a mess because dude, it's like snow flurries outside, so I'm wearing my watch cap.
We got wind, we got everything.
He was joking. He has a friend here, Pat Doyle, who also is a really high level shooter.
Yep.
And whenever Pat shows up, it gets really cold and windy at the range, right?
Well, it's going to be one of two things. Every time Pat and I are together, it's going to be either 120 degrees or like 13 below. So it's either one or the other.
And it's December, so...
It is. But we're in New Mexico, and it's snowing, literally.
So, Mike, tell me, why did you decide to do instructor development? I mean, obviously, okay, so you did it at FLETC some, you did it for FAMS, but why did you bring this outside of those federal law enforcement kind of areas?
Yeah, so I've actually been doing instructor development for FLETC, for the FAMS. As a senior instructor at FLETC, we did instructor development, and then later on for the U.S. Shooting Academy in Tulsa, Oklahoma with the program. And then, you know, it's one of those things where if there is a need, you know, we try to meet the need as a business guy, as an instructor. And I kept getting people asking me, hey, do you do an instructor's course? We want to do an instructor's course. We want to do an instructor's course. You know, a lot of people want to do a shooting course, but there are a lot of people out there that want to take an instructor course and have a true interest in the structure of instruction. You know, we talked about that a lot. It's totally different than shooting. And, you know, man, in this day and age, it seems like everybody and anybody that's leaving law enforcement or leaving the military or just has that hair, you know, wherever, decides, I'm going to be an instructor.
So like every cop who retires,
right? So if I can influence people to follow the structure and be better instructors, that's the goal, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that I see a lot of guys come out of the military, come out of police academy, you know, a police career, and then they're like, oh, I'm going to be an instructor. I've said this many times, and I know you think this too, and I'd love for you to kind of talk about the difference between being a great shooter and a great teacher or great instructor.
You know, being a great shooter it's not easy. Certainly not easy. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. But man, being a great instructor is completely a different animal. I know a lot of good shooters. I think you and I talked about this too. I know a lot of good shooters, great shooters that are really not very good instructors. But I also know some very great instructors that really are not that great as shooters. So to be both, I think is somewhat unique, but instructing is a process of understanding and learning how to communicate. Even more importantly, and I think that we've got this across during this week, is understanding there's a true structure to instructing. You know, and
it's science and art.
It is science and art, and I think there are some people out there that are great instructors and have a great presence that don't even know what they're doing. You know, you yourself, you do a lot of speaking and engagement beyond YouTube, and even if you never found or learned that there was a structure, you've figured it out based on, you know, the stimulus response. As you stimulate and converse with someone, you're reading body language and you start to realize what works better. Eventually, you would probably evolve to the point where you're following a structure, even though you didn't realize it. Yeah. But if we could shortchange that, you know, shortcut, it's like, hey, here's a structure, just follow it.
Right. Well, and it's like, to me, it's like, okay, when you learn how to play a musical instrument, once you learn the structure of music, then you can freelance and you know, okay, when am I gonna break the rule a little bit here because I'm good, but you gotta learn the structure first.
Yeah, structure and order is everything.
Yes.
Learning anything, and beyond instructing, if you figure out the structure and the order or something, you could probably learn it.
Well, and I feel like, okay, if you take a guy or a gal who can't instruct, like they just don't know how to transfer knowledge, well, you can make them a competent teacher if you give them the structure and you teach them the path, right? Well, you take somebody who's, you know, good at it and they work at it, well, they can become fantastic, and even a naturally gifted teacher can become really truly phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right? And so, I mean, I had a couple people go, well, John, wait a minute, you're already a certified instructor, why are you here? And I'm like, because I want to learn how to teach better. I want to learn how that works in a firearms-centered environment better. And from somebody who's taught, gosh, how many people on the line? Thousands and thousands.
Yeah, you know? Thousands at this point in time. So.
Yeah.
Oh, and are you learning something?
Absolutely, I've learned something. I think I love the And it was funny because you said, you probably just do things. When you talk about racking a question, right?
Yep.
I kind of do that
Yep.
as a basis, you know what I mean? But to have it put in my mind to say, okay, I need to make sure that I restate
Right.
and repeat the question, answer it, and then confirm.
Yep.
Simple, right?
Yeah.
Well, some people are like, well, duh, John, you
Right.
didn't do that. But to have a little structure there that goes, did I make sure
Right.
I do that? And those little things are really important.
Right. And we talked about this too, having a higher percentage of success. So these structures that we're talking about, the structure in orders, take someone that's good at relaying material and increase the percentage that they have in terms of reaching their student and holding the student's attention and answering a question at the same time, making sure when they're answering a question that the student down on the end heard the question and got the same question answered. And that's what the process is about. It's about taking, if you're functioning as an instructor at 90% right now, how do we get you functioning at 98% and increasing retention with your students and increasing interactivity? That's what it's all about. Because humans, it's not natural for them to hear all the information and just absorb it. We're not computers.
No,
we just
yeah.
so that's
You
what
can't.
we're trying to do is get good at that.
Yeah. So, a question for you that I think there's some controversy on in the instructing world. Do you think at a defensive shooting level that an instructor should be able to demonstrate that which they are teaching their students?
Yeah, there's certainly some controversy there. Yeah, he threw that one at me. Yeah, I think I am a big believer in demonstration because it does a few things. Number one, it builds instructor credibility. That's number one. Absolutely. You cannot argue that. If as an instructor you can demonstrate something and your students watch it, they're automatically going to say, wow, that guy can actually do that. So he knows enough to teach me how to do it. Number two, it shows them that they can do it. If you can do it, then they can do it.
Right.
And if you tell them, hey, it may take some additional practice and additional work, that's fine. But most importantly, people learn by copying what they see. We started learning like that when we were small children. Children tend to copy the motions and things they see with people. We learn like that. It's like imitating. I may not understand the words you're telling me. I may not be able to take all of that information and process it. But if you say, hey, Mike, do this with your hand, I can, okay, that looks somewhat similar, and we adjust from there.
Well, and if I can see it, I can hear it, I can feel it, I can have some feedback on it, then I'll probably do it.
Yeah,
right?
I think also it takes the anxiety away from students in terms of, man, he's just doing this thing I'm a little nervous about. A good example, a really brand new shooter. I get this question all the time. Mike, I'm just really nervous about carrying around in the chamber. And I'm like, well, I've got around in the chamber, and I'm safely reholstering from the appendix position.
Ooh.
It doesn't really matter where the position is. Yes, I can carry this safely. I can draw the handgun safely. I can reholster the handgun safely. It can be done. If I can do it, you can do it.
Well, and I mean, I think at some level you get to a level of performance that, if you're teaching nothing but a class with national champions, well, then you may not be able to do what they do. Okay, so the analogy I use is, okay, Bill Belichick can't throw a football like Tom Brady can.
Right.
But he can still coach him. Well, this is the very best in the universe.
Right.
That's not who I'm teaching.
Right.
And that's not who you're teaching
No.
on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So at that point, coaching becomes more important than doing because it's can I see or whatever. But for most things, and certainly what I'm teaching, defensive handgun skills,
Sure.
dude, you should be able to do these things.
Absolutely. But I've never said, or I would never say that you as an instructor have to be able to do things better than all of your students. We talked about that earlier in the classroom. But boy, you should have a sufficient level of skill to do that solidly in front of your students, or probably in most cases better than most of your students. And one of the things that I tell the instructor trainees, candidates, or whatever else is, the only thing separating most people from that ability to have that skill and demonstrate those skills in front of students is work. So if you choose not to do the work, well, then I don't really have a lot of use for you anyways. That's your fault. Do the work and be prepared to demonstrate things in front of students. Now, the exception is maybe age or injury or issue like that. We talked about that too. If something happened to me right now where I couldn't effectively grip the handgun with one hand anymore, I can still teach and I can still coach and I can still mentor. So.
You're like, look, man, one of the examples that I see on this in the instructor community is a guy like Clint Smith, who's had a lot of surgeries.
Right.
And but the dude was in Vietnam, right? You're like, bro, I get it. You can't get down prone as fast as I can or somebody else. Like, totally fine.
Yeah, but he can do it and he can teach it.
And he can teach it.
And there's not a single person that would question that, I don't think.
I think something I'd love for you to kind of give some folks, and I think this is one that a lot of people think about, is what do you look for in a great instructor? So somebody says, hey, I'm thinking about taking a class with X. Yeah. What would you look for or send somebody to in a good firearms instructor?
So number one, they're going to be someone that is extremely passionate about whatever they're teaching. Passion, and that passion leading to a body of knowledge, I think, is second to none. Because if someone's passionate, I know they're going to seek out the knowledge on their own. I know they're going to do the work on their own. And then by doing the work on their own, they're going to have skills. There's one of the things that, and I've even had arguments with people in class before in terms of what is the most important thing. I don't know if we can ever say this is the most important thing for an instructor. But in my mind, having the skills and abilities is really important, because if you have the skill, that means you have the passion,
Sure.
you sought out the body of knowledge, and then you put the effort in the work. And if you did that, you know things that someone, an instructor that didn't do those things, know. So that's what I would look for in an instructor. Obviously, also someone that's friendly, a good communicator, humble, and safe are probably on the list as well. So.
Yeah, those are the things that, hey, if you're a jerk to me all the time, well, then I'm not going to be able to learn from you. You know, I like being friendly and those kind of things, and that's who I learn best from.
Right.
So what's coming in 2018 for you, man?
Man, that's a great question. What is coming? Well, we've got a bunch of courses. It's not official yet. I keep having people ask about developing a course and then certifying people to teach some of my programs. So I think that structure may be coming in 2018, and the standards are going to be pretty high. You know what I'm saying? Not you don't have to be a grandmaster level, top blah blah, but you're going to have to be passionate, have an incredible body of knowledge, and put the work into the skills for me to sign off on you. So that's a possibility. And of course, I'll be out there meeting people and talking and teaching and stuff like that. And by the way, speaking of that, I am kind of putting my money where my mouth is in the morning on Facebook Lives, doing this daily dry fire challenge, because we talk about doing the work. Not everybody can go to the range every single day, but they can go to a safe area in their home and dry fire and practice manipulation. So if people like that, join me in the morning, 6:30 Central.
I'm going to put a link in the description for you to get hooked up so that you can follow and do the daily dry fire challenge. I mean, hey, I've said it many times. I think 70-30 dry to live, and if you do daily dry fire, you will get better as a shooter.
Guarantee it.
I guarantee it. And if you go, well, I'm not, either it means, number one, you're incredibly high level. You're not. Trust me. If you're watching this and you're complaining, you're not.
Right.
Number two, you're doing it wrong. And so learn how to do it right from somebody who's doing it right. Or number three, you're lying to me, you're lying to yourself. Yeah, that's just the truth.
Yeah. And I'm going to lead you along. I'm literally going to lead people. And more important, you know, we talked about this in the class. Well, the students have to have some fun. So I'm getting on there with the part-time. We're trying to make the part-time. We're interacting. We're having fun. And it's live. That's the only chance, unless you come to me or come out in a class like this, to ask questions. So that's...
What a cool thing. You, wherever you are, can get a guy at this level to teach you and interact with you, and you can be a part of it. So I'm telling you, man, I am so glad to have been here this week, and looking forward to the rest. We're going to head out to the range here. It's literally snowing on the range right now, which is going to be fun.
Yeah.
But, you know, hey, you just train in whatever conditions you find yourself, right?
Yeah.
And I've been learning a lot. It's been fun interacting with different students at different level. We have different instructor candidates. Some are law enforcement, some are not. Some are long-time law enforcement. Some are incredible level shooters, and some are, you know, more here, and I'm more, you know, down here. And man, great stuff. So, Mike, thank you so much, dude, for the time and for the teaching.
Thank you. Hey, folks, listen, if you're watching his channel or this channel, the other two channels, this guy is good. He's here in class. He's humbled himself. He's in instructor class learning. I have the utmost respect for that. I've been on his channel and kind of watching some of his videos, good stuff, man. And I can tell you, in this group, he's one of the single best communicators in the class. He's also a good shooter. So if you get a chance to train with him, he's the real deal.
Well, that was nice. Thanks, bro.
Thanks, Steve.